The boys were battling, the hockey minds were in sync, and Pezzetta plays wizard hero in shootout. Don't catch what we have to say in this episode of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, and ahoy. For this episode of Habs Digest, unfortunately, Josh wasn't able to join us on this one, but we're so excited to break down this amazing game tonight from the Montreal Canadiens against the Buffalo Sabres. And this game was just a battle right from the beginning. Even though Buffalo was maybe kind of out-shooting Montreal in that first period, you had to feel like we were in it no matter what. We were really coming to play tonight. And no player much more than Mike Matheson, who once again, as a usual suspect, comes streaking down the ice, curling around the net to find a Jonathan Drouin waiting in the wings, who then, as we've seen many times this year, threading the needle to a very savvy Jordan Harris, reading the play, and then snapping home a beautiful goal to get Montreal on the board tonight. And as we see from Mike Matheson again tonight, we weren't sure at the beginning of the season if this was really the defenseman that we were looking for, but he's really solidified that he is that number one defenseman that this team really needs. And in this game reaction, I just want to talk a little bit just about how important Mike Matheson is. And the reason that he's so important to this team is that because he's a veteran defenseman, himself being that number one defenseman on our team is so important, just because it's taking away so much pressure just from our other young D-core, where now they don't need to be the guy. Cayden Guhle doesn't feel like he needs to be Montreal's best defenseman every night. So this is really just going to help his development so much. Just knowing that, he can settle, he can just, play his part in his development, be patient with it, and learn from a really great example every night in Mike Matheson. And what's so great about Mike Matheson is he's the type of defenseman that we need. As we saw him setting up that goal tonight, as we've seen, he's kind of had his fingerprint. He's kind of been the godfather on so many Montreal Canadiens goals, especially of late. He's really the one setting it up. And of course, there's going to be some mistakes sometimes in that defensive zone. But, we can't expect him to be an offensive defenseman and a defenseman at the same time. So I think, he's just bringing really what we need tonight. But you know what? We were really battling all the way through. We got into that second period, then we kind of started playing with some fire a little bit, taking some penalties against a Buffalo Sabres team that does have a really good power play. And then when we did take our fourth, penalty of the night, it ended up being a wild night in Buffalo. I think we've all been there, at a certain point, but Mike Hoffman, out of all people who should know not to cross-check another player, unfortunately, just takes a really bad penalty, sends us to the box, and then the Buffalo Sabres just do their best impression of Wayne Gretzky, to kind of get themselves in the lead in that second period. But when it did come back for that third period, Habs Digest Nation, you could tell that we were fighting, that we were really ready to play, and no player more than Brendan Gallagher. I thought that his line tonight of Gurianov with Gallagher, that they really, with Jesse Ylönen as well, who had a great game as well, they were really creating chances. And it was just so nice to see a lot of their good efforts just kind of getting rewarded, through in that third period with just a beautiful goal from Gallagher, where just that sweet, sweet sound of just going post in, so really nice to see as well. And, this was really a night where we were getting contributions again from all of our lines. Suzuki was looking great. The Dach line, Dach was looking dangerous. As we mentioned, we were getting on the board with our third line with Gallagher, but also Belzile, our fourth line, not to be underestimated again with Chris Turney and Mike Pezzetta. Alex Belzile, he had a beautiful goal in that second period where he's streaking down the wing, and then he does this old school fake the slap shot. And then as he kind of approaches more on a very tight angle, he is able to get a tough shot on the glove hand in on just a beautiful goal to really keep us in this game, which was just so important in this game. So all of this brought us to this overtime period in a very close third where even we had some more chances to maybe win it right there. And in overtime, we had a lot of back and forth. And we saw the strength from Kirby Dach on full display tonight, where at the end of a very long shift, where he gets a pass and he just muscles off the Sabres defenseman like he's not there at all, just kind of forearms him like a fullback does in the NFL, and gets a beautiful chance in close before just being denied by Eric Comrie, who had an amazing game tonight. Montreal was out shooting the Buffalo Sabres in this game, and, a big reason that it did go to overtime was with Eric Comrie, but so we got to the shootout, and it's a marathon at this point. We're having shooter after shooter. You're thinking Suzuki, who's 5 of 6 so far in the season, that for sure that he's going to win it. But again, both goalies, really standing on their head and, making it really close. And we had a couple players that we're not always seeing in the shootouts kind of getting there as well. And we could see that it was kind of a tale of two cities, where the atmosphere on the Habs bench, it's just really loosey-goosey. We're having fun. We're getting some different faces out there for the shootout. Whereas the Sabres, they're battling for a playoff spot, and every point matters. And you can tell they're just on pins and needles on their side. When finally Michael Pezzetta comes up to center ice to take the puck for the shootout, and he just has a beauty snipe, just showing some great hands, right in the stick like Harry Potter into the sunset to win the game. Just a beautiful effort tonight. The fact that we weren't giving up, we were down 2-1 in that second, but the fact that we could come and tie it up to make it 3-3 into that third, I think what's so important in this year, just really getting those great habits of not giving up and just playing with that full effort every night. And I think that's what we could see from the Montreal Canadiens all night. No, it wasn't a perfect effort from them, but they were really giving forth, their will and everything they really had in the tank all night long. So, Marty St. Louis got to be really happy, and we're just doing another step in developing our brand of hockey, the kind of hockey we want to play, having some fun, playing spoiler at the same time. Thanks so much for catching us on this episode of Habs Digest. Talk to you all again very soon. Bye for now.